Continuing now with our special coverage, CPAC Day 2 here in Washington, D.C., and a guest familiar to our viewers, the one and only Kash Patel, former right-hand man to Devin Nunes in the Intelligence Committee, of course, and also Deputy Assistant Secretary to the Pentagon. Did I get that right?
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
All these
who
freaking
cares?
titles
These fancy government
in
titles that don't
Washington.
mean anything,
Yes,
Larry.
exactly.
You know that.
The longer the title in
the
D.C.
less important you are.
Yes. And the less money you make.
The less money you make, yeah.
But more importantly, you were involved in so much during the Trump administration in terms of sort of scratching the surface on what is known as the deep state. I know that if you were to describe the deep state, how would you describe it?
Well, first I'd say, A, it's amazing to be here live on your show. Oh. And that comes up a lot. And what I tell people is I think it's a tragedy that we have to even address that there is a deep state. Because for the first few years, take it back to Russiagate, when we were talking to people and they were like, hey, there's a deep state. They were like, no, you guys are crazy.
Right.
You guys are out of your mind.
Well, they went from there's no deep state to, of course there's a deep state. And thank God we've got a deep state.
And we're running it with the mainstream media. So, what I tell people is the mainstream media is essential for the deep state's existence and survival. So why do conservatives assist big tech and the mainstream media?
Yeah, it's a
by
good
going
question.
on their platform, subscribing to their networks, and giving their money when they help rig presidential elections, congressional elections.
Well, dude, I mean, when Trump would rail against this stuff and then suddenly give a 2-day exclusive access to George Stephanopoulos, right? Yeah. Or there's another exclusive with Maggie Haberman at the New York Times. Drove me nuts. It drove me. And you're right.
I mean, from his
feed that beast.
From his perspective, there's one man that can take it on head on. It's him. And I understand.
Oh, I know he can take them on. I'm just saying, but you're feeding the same beast that keeps this machine going.
Yeah, and I think we have to shift a little bit on that to your show,
right?
To shows that are here.
There's a reason why there's an alternative media now,
and it's more like it's not the alternative media. You're the media.
It's the truth.
They're
media.
the alternative media.
Yeah, right.
Now. That's what we have to do.
All right. So when you were at in the Intel Committee with Devin Nunes, I hate to take you back down memory lane.
Yeah, it's good though.
But I think one of the most critical moments was the Nunes memo about what went on at the
Kash
FBI.
memo, Larry.
Well. He won the election, so he gets to do it. But no, obviously you drafted that with your research with Congressman Nunes. And immediately the Democrats, Adam Schiff, all said it was a lie, all said that it was bogus, all said that it was the media jumped on that. Devin Nunes is a liar. Joe Scarborough joked, oh, great, we got this dairy farmer who's now in charge of Intel, and he's lying about the FBI doing Trump's bidding. Everybody forgets. All of it was verified.
True.
All of it was validated once things were declassified.
And that's not, we weren't looking for validation. I signed up with Devin. I said, we put out the truth. I hadn't met Donald Trump back then. I didn't know him. I wasn't a campaign guy. I said, I don't know. This sounds pretty bad. Check it out.
Right.
And we put out, you know what we put out? The FBI's own documentation in that memo.
Yeah.
Sworn witness testimony. And the reason I say those two things is because we were able in Congress to subpoena the witnesses and the documents of consequence, put them in that memo, and give it to the public. This Republican Congress has the opportunity to do that with things like the FBI and DOJ.
Well, this is why I wanted to ask,
the border,
because now we've got the majority again, and is that where we're headed? Are you confident? Have you had discussions with the chairman or with the staffs about where they can go with this?
I have, and I've seen the initial stages take place. Some subpoenas have gone out the door. Some public hearings have been held. Some more closed-door hearings are coming. And I'll be the first to tell you, closed-door hearings are consequential because you keep the witness in there for days if needed, under oath. And then you bring in the bigwigs publicly. You bring in the big government agency guys and the big tech, Twitter, Facebook guys, and you show the world their testimony under oath on TV. Then you give them the documentation. Yeah. And if they do that, that's a win.
So Christopher Wray gave his interview to Bret Baier. I'm sure you saw that, right? And I guess this was a practice session for Jim Jordan. I think, with all due respect to Bret Baier, I think Jim Jordan might have a few follow-ups that might make him uncomfortable.
A little bit, just maybe.
But Christopher Wray says the FBI doesn't tell Twitter what to do and what not to do. We don't tell Twitter who to delete and who to censor. If the FBI picks up the phone, by the way, this is after having week after week after week of briefing with Twitter to tell them that Russian hacks are coming.
They're not doing anything. They're having pizza.
Right, yeah. And they pick up the phone and they say, hey, these are some problematic accounts. We think they're violating your terms of service. Isn't it? It's more than implied that if you don't do what the FBI is flagging there, now you're implicated. Now you're going to get arrested if something bad happens.
This is an actual police state, a two-tier system of justice. Look, Chris Wray lied about Never retaliating against whistleblowers. He fired or suspended without pay multiple of them. This is another instance where the director of the FBI, the top cop in the world, is lying on air to national TV. And this guy now comes out and says the one thing we've known the entire time about COVID. Just another example.
Yeah.
COVID origins came from the Wuhan lab. We know. We told you guys that 2 years ago because we had the same intel then.
Right.
But now you, Christopher Wray, have lied for 2 years and now are coming clean because you just got asked the question.
People forget this. DNI Ratcliffe in summer of 2020 had intelligence community consensus that
Where it
this
came
virus came from Wuhan, probably from the lab in one form or another, either from an animal at the lab or a leak from the lab. And now suddenly, because the Department of Energy says, oh yeah, that's probably true.
New intel. There's no new intel.
There's no new intel.
What did you recreate 2017 and go backwards in time in your time capsule and say, oh, look, I found new intel? It's intel that existed. They just didn't want to put it out.
So, Kash, I always try to put myself in the position of the viewer watching this. So some of the regular guy who's on Facebook and gets frustrated when he sees this. They see all of this. They agree. They understand exactly what you're talking about, what you saw. You're a credible man. But nothing happens.
Talk about former DNIs. This is
We just mentioned DNI in the intelligence community. That would be Ambassador Rick Grinnell with a surprise appearance, ladies and gentlemen. But nothing happens.
No, and it's the most frustrating thing, Larry. I was in there. We were trying to put out the information, and nothing happens because the deep state acted. And people are frustrated. What's the point of voting? What's the point of going out there? I appreciate those questions, and I get it. But if you take a knee, then you might as well just move away, because that's not the fight we need right now, the fighters we need. We need you to double down, and we need Congress to produce information to arm the American public. That's the best form of accountability there is. Not a DOJ that's crooked or bankrupt, but an American public at the polls to wipe them out so we have new leadership in charge.
I was struck by Christopher Wray when he was asked about the arrest of Mr. Houck, the pro-life protester, and he said these are decisions made by the commanders on the ground. Commanders on the ground. That's wartime language, right? Has the FBI sort of, they think they're spies because they've got their own intelligence department, right, and counterintelligence. They're cops. They're supposed to enforce the federal law. Has the FBI just grown so big? What needs to be done there?
Oh, that's it. So here's the thing. FBI, and I haven't said this all CPAC, FBI headquarters needs to be shuttered. Not moved, shuttered. The 50 people that actually need to run the FBI can have a small office space with a potted plant. Every other agent and analyst needs to be put back in the field so we can chase down child sex predators, bank robbers, cartel members, do the cops and robber job that the FBI is supposed to do. But it's gotten so big and it's such a behemoth that everybody wants to come to D.C., get their pay raise, do their tour, and go back out and get a lofty title and not do actual crime-fighting work. And this FBI under Chris Wray has justified his existence by expansion. They want a new building. They want a new headquarters building outside of town.
And they got their money for that building, didn't they, in the omnibus package?
They did, and we can pull it back. That's what people don't realize. We can shut it down. And that's what this Congress must do by fencing the money for the new projects for FBI construction going forward.
Republicans are shutting down the FBI.
No,
they don't care about law enforcement. But they need to have the cojones to do it.
Yeah.
Kash Patel's got cojones. God knows he does. Isn't that Cajone is actually a translation of cash. We're going to call you Cajone Patel from now on.
You heard it here.
That's going to stick.
Oh, boy.
All right. We've got more to come here. Maybe we'll get Ambassador Rick Grinnell to swing in a moment. Keep it here on O'Connor Tonight.